Lego Island 2. Just saying that name brings up amazing feelings of pure nostalgia. Granted, this game is only just old enough to be considered nostalgic in my eyes, but I'm willing to look past that just to get a chance to talk about the damn thing. Initially it was planned for release in 1999 for the Dreamcast, Nintendo 64 and, amazingly, the SNES, but somewhere down the line it seems they decided to scrap the project and start from scratch, instead opting for release in 2001 for the PC, PlayStation, Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. The only similarity between the versions is seemingly the overarching plot and music. The layout of the islands, minigames, and essentially everything else changes between the versions. This is understandable mainly because each version was developed by a different studio who took their cues from Silicon Dreams, a British company who historically specialised in making subpar sports games up until their eventual disbandment in 2004. The PlayStation 1 version is actually very similar to the PC version, the only real differences being that most player areas are much tinier, and of course the graphics are utter tripe. One of the things that really bugged me about it as a kid though was the fact that Pepper's hair is not only a darker tone, but it also wasn't a separate part of the model, unlike the PC version. I know that's picky, but I was 9, so shut up. For a time, Lego Island was a pretty important franchise for Lego. I seem to recall there being a bunch of content about it on the Lego website, incidentally the only website I went to when I was 9, including a very obscure animated webcomic featuring him and some random girl that nobody had ever heard of. Because, you know, there weren't enough established characters for the franchise for them to pick from. They could have even just used the girl from the Lego Island 2 outro who just showed up out of nowhere to make out with Pepper. Seriously, what the hell was up with that? Less than a year later, they effectively killed the franchise with Island Extreme Stunts, a bug-riddled mess of a game. I can't pretend I've played it or speculate on its quality. Know why? It doesn't work. At all. Ever. You had to have a very specific PC setup or the game would metaphorically slap you in the face and send you crying back to your respective video game store. Hopefully, you at least saved the receipt, because I didn't. The game faced severe performance issues on almost every operating system other than Windows 98 due to a scripting error which would cause the game to crash while loading minigames. So if you fancy playing it on an even remotely modern system, you can just forget about it. You'd have better luck looking for the PS2 version. From what I understand, it wasn't great. It retained the story free roam minigame format of the previous titles, but a lackluster gameplay style combined with the fact they made Pepper a silent protagonist for some reason really killed the game. It was also the only Lego Island game to have official merchandise, which included a rather faithful rendition of the Brickster and Pepper, just not Pepper's hat for some reason. Now, before you jump down my throats for not talking about the original, I honestly don't remember much about it. It came out when I was barely out of nappies and before I had a computer, so I never actually owned it. I played it once around a friend's house, and all I can remember is this.
I'm the pizza delivery dude, the dude with the food! Check it out! Perfect angle, 45 degrees! 90 degrees, 45 degrees. I got more degrees than a thermometer. 10 degrees, more degrees than a professor. I'm a Mongo-footed Professor Narnar. 5 degrees and touchdown. And under control.
Pepper, he's hot.
That's me.
Dear zombie Jesus. Will someone please get that kid a protractor? I don't claim to know exactly what his angle is, but it was not 45 degrees. I know this is one of LEGO's first ever ventures into the world of video games, but whoever thought that casting Pepper as a prepubescent child was a good idea needs to be given a severe and harsh re-education in how to do his job. I'm sure they expected it to appeal to little kids, but honestly, aneurysm-inducing voice acting appeals about as much to little children as calculus. So I've talked a little bit about the franchise's history. Let's talk about the game itself. What it is a collection of mini-games, broken up by free roam segments. I'd really like to say it's deeper than that, but it isn't. You go somewhere, you pick up some Constructopedia pages, you do a kill collect, you play a few mini-games, and you move on to the next island. Or into space. In your spaceship. You start off travelling the island in search of minifigs who want pizza, which is the local delicacy of Lego Island, and I sure hope you like it because it's all you're going to be hearing about for the next 2 or 3 hours.
Your pizza here.
This pizza.
The pizza is hot.
Your pizza. Pizza deliver.
Pizza.
The pizza's with
Duty, honor.
Wow, pizza!
So the Brickster has ordered a super hot pizza which somehow gives him the ability to breathe fire, and shock horror, he breaks out of jail, steals the Constructopedia and deconstructs every building on the island, all while bringing about the coming of the Bricksterbots of Ogel. Apparently the residents of a small island that's been orbiting the planet idolise the Brickster so much that they built robot replicas of him. Oddly enough, the residents of Lego Island seem quite unfazed by this. They walk around just like, oh, well every building on our island is gone and I'm being stalked by these crazy robots. Well, I'm not going to let that get me down. This is a Lego game. So, yeah. The Brickster is out and wreaking all sorts of havoc across the world, and guess whose job it is to sort it? Not the police, not the doctor, not the mechanic, not the rescue agent, not the spaceman, and not even the implied god of Lego Island. Nope, nobody of any significant skill. Instead, they send the dude with the food, pepperoni.
Hey! Wait! You didn't pay for your pizza!
So, you pick up some pages, you go to the next island, you play a minigame, you play another minigame, you play another minigame, and you play a minigame with frustrating perspective problems, and finally the monotony begins to set in. Bottom line, this game is easy. Dear God, is this easy. There is literally no consequence for failure. If you're satisfied just drifting through the game and not caring about your highest score, you'll get bored of this game very quickly, because it really is just that shallow. Heck, you can't even take a shortcut across the railroad track because if you get anywhere near it, the superconductor from Lego Logo will sweep you off your feet and take you back to safety. I mean, you gotta teach the kids about railroad safety, right? It's vitally important in a video game. After that, you head back to Lego Island and arbitrarily collect some more pages, and you're off to Adventure Island to meet the man himself. Oh, Johnny. Johnny Thunder. He lives on water and feeds on lightning. Honestly, the single coolest character in LEGO history. I know he's essentially just a rip-off of Indiana Jones, and we'll probably never see him in a LEGO set again now they actually have the Indiana Jones license, but he is still the coolest thing to ever come out of LEGO. And he plays no major role up until leads you into more minigames. You broke my heart, Silicon Dreams. You broke my heart. To their credit, this sequence is pretty cool. At least it would be if there were more than 3 lines of dialogue played throughout the entire thing.
I got one! I got one!
Good shooting, Dipper.
There's still more of them out there. I got one! I got one!
Good shooting, Dipper.
Ugh. How obviously was this game developed in the 90s? Seriously. You then play another bloody whack-a-mole game, followed by a matching minigame, followed by a really terrible driving sequence, followed by a fishing minigame, followed by a plane sequence where you shoot bananas at monkeys to kill them. You kill them with your banana cannon.
Oh! Okay, well, the T-Rex has just informed me that the dinosaurs are being held prisoner at the main camp.
Yeah. You need to rescue the T-Rex's dinosaur pals from the evil clutches of Johnny Thunder's arch nemesis, Baron von Baron, although for some reason he's called Sam Sinister in this game. Well, I guess that's all the pages this land has to offer, so it's time for you to head back to Lego Island again. Oh, but this time you're on a pterodactyl! Hell yes! 100 bonus cool points for you right there, Silicon Dreams. You almost went to negatives after hardly using Johnny Thunder, but you brought that right back from the dead. When you get over the awesomeness of the fact you're riding on a pterodactyl and decide to land on boring old Lego Island, guess who shows his mug again?
Help!
Oh dear! Mama!
Papa. Yes, Mama and Papa, but more importantly, me. Mama and Papa are now my own personal chefs.
A few more pages, a few more mini-games, and an incredibly out-of-perspective parachute sequence later, you finally land on Ogel Island, where the Brickster resides with his hideously deformed and seemingly unfinished minions and rules over all the clipping areas of the land. Now, I'm not a physicist, but I'm pretty sure that's not how skateboarding in space should work. So, after you make some space pizza and enjoy a really awkward platforming stage, it's finally time. All these hours and all this training will finally pay off as you begin your final epic confrontation with the Brickster. Your whole life has been leading up to this point, and at long last it's time to prove your worth.
Pizza.
You are fucking kidding me.
I wonder what's going on over here. Oh my god, the Brickster has escaped. Oh my god, I've got to run. I've got to run. I've got to run. Oh no, wait, don't worry. Ron Weasley with a cat on his head will save the day.